So hello and welcome back everybody. Today I am back in UU because I love this tier and there has been some drops. Zeraora is here to stay and Bisharp is being suspect tested. So that is what we are going up against today, and I am using a team that I saw and I just fell in love with because it's hyper offense and it can really bust past some of the normal checks that the Pokemon would have. Taking a look at that team, I have the Nasty Plot, Phytinium Z Lucario with Vacuum Wave for priority, Max Health, Max Attack Scizor with Swords Dance and Roost, a lead Azelf with Taunt, Rocks, Flamethrower, and Psychic, which is kind of obvious. When people see Azelf, they pretty much know how to lead up against it. Scarf Latias with Trick to cripple walls and Healing Wish to get back my sweepers to full. Adamant Sharpedo with Ice and Psychic Fangs. Straight from RU, I brought my Honchkrow. It's like, I have this vision that I'm going to substitute as a Scizor switches in and Heat Wave it as it takes out that sub. But it has not happened yet. That's alright. But it's just such a fun team and it finds opportunities to switch in and set up. And yeah, I haven't been the most successful with it, but it is a lot of fun to use. First off, we have UUBS Woohoo Dude. He is a Beware enthusiast and he's got a good balanced core. All of his Pokemon are very fat and can take a hit and deal it back. The matchup is going to be Azelf versus Doublade on turn 1, and that's not great because I use the opportunity to get up Stealth Rocks and just let myself die to Shadow Sneak. He could have had Pursuit, but might have been better just to take Flamethrower because Doublade is a huge thorn in my side for this battle. He switches out on the Heat Wave, so lucky him, he didn't stay in for that. Hippowdon is a great check to Honchkrow. I tried to get clever here and substitute on him, which prevents the Toxic, which is awesome. But the more I look at it, if he had Rocky Helmet, it's going to be giving me a lot of recoil, sand, and the Brave Bird damage is all adding up really quickly, and he slacks off, which sucks. If I stay in Brave Bird, I'm going to be dead again, so I figure he'll heal or go for rocks as I get in Latias. Wonderful. And here I have a decision. What's he really going to do? He has this Umbreon, which is the perfect counter to Latias. So I trick the Umbreon, thus crippling it for the rest of the game, which really was necessary for me to stay in this. This Umbreon has to be slowed down. And this is an easy switch into my Lucario. I get the Foul Play and I have Justified, which is completely just to throw people off. They see the +1 boost and yeah, like he brings out his Doublade with the big physical defense, not seeing my Nasty Plot coming. But unfortunately, I don't have anything but Flash Cannon and Z Focus Blast and Vacuum Wave. So I just keep taking Flash Cannons at him just because I realize that there's no way I can bust that through this Pokemon really easily. I should have gone for that Flamethrower turn 1, the more I think about it. But that's cool. I do have this Max Health Scizor, which is ready to come in and eat up some damage since it hasn't set up any Sword Stances or anything like that. Bayware comes out, massive defense, a huge threat, and definitely going to be rocking Drain Punch, so it's going to try to get back up to full. Special Lucario comes in and does scare it out. I was really hoping he'd stay in there, so he'd have to eat this all-out pummeling, but we hit the Hippowdon, which is also really good too. Hippowdon is a massive wall to overcome here, so good for you, Lucario, getting him out of the way. I needed that. Tentacruel comes out, which I cannot take out in enough hits, and I figure if Honchkrow is going to die when he comes in anyway, I can at least prevent the Rapid Spin. So I keep rocks on my side of the field in sacrifice of Honchkrow's life there, so I'll take what I can get, and I no longer have the Choice Scarf. I'm only rocking the leftovers now. I go for Psychic, which he probably could have seen coming, but getting Doublade out of there is also really good. Maybe Defog, he could have anticipated there too. But out comes this Umbreon, and I know he's locked into a move, so he is either just going to use like Foul Play or Wish probably. Yeah, here out comes the Wish, and Scizor being in is beautiful because I can just take a big U-turn on him if he wants to stay in, or I can get a little momentum if he switches out. Beware comes in, and he is definitely going to be back at full at the end of that Wish, which is not ideal for me. But it's a free switch into Latias, which in turn forces in this crippled Umbreon, which is what I have to work with. My Pokemon have to like either set up on this Umbreon or find some way to gain a little momentum while he's being slowed, because the rest of his team is still outspeeding a lot of my Pokemon, which is threatening. I Healing Wish off and just end Latias's life right there to get Lucario back in the game. I'm putting all of my chips down on Lucario right now, and I totally choke here. I should have gone for the Nasty Plot, but I thought he might want to send in Latias or this Tentacruel, but man, Nasty Plot would have been such a better play. I try to make up for it in Nasty Plot here, but he scalds me, which is a critical hit and burn, so it would have been a 3-hit KO, which is now an easy 2-hit KO, which totally sucks. This Tentacruel is definitely going to be a obstacle, to say the least, for the rest of this game. So he does go for Rapid Spin there, which I thought was kind of weird. He could have just straight taken me out. Maybe he thought I'd still try to preserve it like I do, but good for him. He got rocks off his side of the field, and we both switch out Scizor and Umbreon, which definitely plays in my favor. He pretty much has to get right back out of here, or else he's sacking his Umbreon. And Beware is definitely tanky enough to scare out anyone who would really want to come in. I mean, Lucario is the only Pokemon that could come in, because Sharpedo would just take the hit. And U-turning into Lucario, I also didn't realize how much the rocks and the burn damage would be adding up. When you U-turn in, you still have to take the burn damage at the end of the turn, so I'm spreading myself really thin for the rest of this battle. This Latias comes in, which is definitely a threat and a half, and he goes for Calm Mind, which could be okay, just seeing what he has. Surf does not pick up the kill on this max health Scizor, and he can KO back with U-turn, which is awesome, which keeps me in the game. I definitely needed that. I have to U-turn back into Lucario, because if I send in Sharpedo, he sends in the Beware, and it's basically game over, because Beware is going to get a Drain Punch on whatever the switch-in is. So I have to send out Lucario, so he sends in some other Pokemon besides Beware, and my Pokemon are all dwindling in health here. It's coming down to it, and Sharpedo is usually the last seen Pokemon on any team. He's usually the last Pokemon, the cleaner, but I gotta send him in now, hoping that I can save the special fighting move for Beware. I luck out and get the flinch on Umbreon, which is, I probably would have taken a huge chunk from Foul Play, but I'd probably still live. And honestly, it might have left me with less health for Beware to Drain Punch, but it all is kind of irrelevant, because Beware is going to kill me, and by the time I send in Lucario, I'm only going to be left with like enough health for one more turn of burn damage. So unfortunately, I don't get the opportunity to try to crit Tentacruel with Flash Cannon or any crazy stuff like that. And I do lose this one, but I don't mind losing to Woohoo Dude. He's a really good player up on the ladder, so that is okay. It's tough. It's tough using this team. You have to grab the opportunities when you see them, and not Nasty Plotting was probably my biggest choke. Next up, we do see the Zeraora by Hobo Darkseed. He's got a really good looking team. The Cobalion is kind of threatening, but as long as I keep an eye on it, I should be alright. And Scarf Hydreigon's a good lead. Dark Pulse could have flinched right here, which would have been terrible. So I start out the game lucky enough. I don't get flinched, and I know he's locked into it. So I get that justified boost, bluff a physical Lucario, and we're in. I mean, I guess Nidoking probably, if it switched in on a physical Swords Dance, wouldn't live in extreme speed, but it was definitely good getting that Nidoking out of there. Potential rocker that was gotten out of the way here. I switch in Azelf on a close combat, which I honestly had no good switch-ins to a Zeraora, so it was a good thing I saved him on 1 health, and he's smart enough to not go for an attack and take a Sucker Punch, but he does have Bulk Up, which is super scary, because I still cannot do too much damage to him behind a substitute. Eventually going for the Plasma Fist while I go for a Heat Wave that misses. Super frustrating. I just know the Plasma Fist is going to come back out because if he's running Bulk Up, he's not running, I don't know, too many different coverage moves, and a Scarf Latias is going to take him out of the picture. He still had that close combat boost from like 3 turns ago, so it's pretty funny to see a Pokemon stick around for that long after their defenses drop. I switch in Scizor on what is definitely a close choice banded superpower. I think I might live it, so I stay in, but I definitely die, which sucks, because Scizor definitely could have revenge killed a Pokemon or 2 had I played my cards right. And I really thought this Scizor could have switched out and I would have gotten a hit on anything else, but it stays in, and you know, that's alright. I can take him out with the all-out pummeling. Z Focus Blast is an amazing move, because you don't see too many special fighting moves. In comes Latias on a close combat, which works out wonderfully for me. I can scare him right back out, and I used Draco Meteor because I really was, I knew he'd want to switch out, and whatever he switched in wasn't going to like a dragon move, but unfortunately this does give Altaria free setup turns, which is not going to be looking good for me. It's really scary, like all of my answers to these problems have to be very offensively inclined answers. I send in Honchkrow knowing that he will have to attack me or else I will attack him and do massive damage back. But I go for an aggressive Ice Fang instead of protecting as he Dragon Dances, and judging by that, he is only like 0 health, 4 defense Altaria, and I get the speed boost. He Roosts, which is a choke. He could have just attacked me right then and there. I guess he would have died potentially to a Psychic Scarf, but man, Ice Fang missing there was so terrible. That was definitely the game. Lucario could have cleaned up with Vacuum Wave and Psychic Fangs with Cobalion. So, you know, you take some, you lose some. I'll consider that a win. Ice Fang missing happens. It's like 95 accuracy. But that was a rough one. I'm pretty sure I lost like a big 25 points off that. But I'm not gonna sweat it. We got more battles to go. Looking at the next battle against Dr. Wah, I didn't even put it together at first, but he is running a mono bug team, so that's really hilarious. He's a bug type gym leader, just out here on the UU ladder. And I send in Azelf, a pretty common lead, as he sends in this, God, what are these things called? Golisopod, blow. And I go for the Psychic over Rocks, because I really wanted to like take a big hit out of this, because I know they don't have great special defense. But it turns out he has an Assault Vest, because that did nothing at all, that Psychic. And this max health Scizor is definitely going to be bulky enough to take the punishment he can deal back. Being an Assault Vest, I don't have to worry about him like going for like Toxic or Rest or anything like that, so I know he's just got like 4 offensive moves, and if he can't crack the Pokemon in front of him, then I can just keep roosting off damage until I can emergency exit, get him the hell out of there. Golisopod's a really cool Pokemon. He can definitely be used correctly in UU. I switch in Latias, what I think is going to be another one of those choice banded superpowers, but huge misplay. I just sack him to a knockoff, which isn't good. I think Scizor might stay in, and I go for Heat Wave on this incoming huge Araquanid. It's the Totem Araquanid, clearly. It's a massive spider. And I get the Moxie boost from Brave Bird. Now, I really am tempted to go for Heat Wave here, but I know he is sturdy, so I'm not going to mess around with that. And I switch in on Toxic, so I definitely think I made the right play there. U-turning for momentum or breaking that thing's sturdy is important, and that does a huge damage to this electric spider, the Galvantula. Going for Flamethrower because I know it's at least neutral on all of his Pokemon. It's a mono bug team, and saving him still really nice because he sends back in this Golisopod, and this Scizor is just like laughing at the damage he's trying to deal out. I can roost back up, stay at full, and really not be afraid of too much what he can lay down. Back in comes his Fortress, and I've never had so many problems with the Fortress before this, but I realize I'm just gonna have to set up in its face because its Gyro Ball is gonna like do a lot of damage to anyone else coming in. But I actually do U-turn out as he switches, so I keep the momentum up. And Lucario versus Scizor is a matchup I've seen before. Lucario's Z Focus Blast will kill a Scizor, even a bulky Scizor, I believe, as long as it has some rocks damage. So getting him out of there is important, and he sends out B-Drill. He bluffs the Drill Run right here. A like 85 base power Drill Run definitely would have killed Lucario, but he U-turns instead, gets a lot of momentum, and the battle is back in his hands. He gets out this Spider, and judging by how much damage the U-turn did, I would have thought Bullet Punch would have killed him. But he has that Compound Eyes Thunder, which has raised accuracy, and he nabs me there. So I no longer have that Scizor to kill Golisopod or keep him in place, but I do have Protect on Sharpedo, and First Impression only has priority on the first turn he comes out, so, or you can only use it on the first time you come out, so having Protect completely stops Golisopod cold, because I really doubt he has much more coverage for a Sharpedo than the aforementioned First Impression. Leech Life would be nice on a set like that too, so I guess I would have seen it. He has Counter on his Fortress, which is hilarious, and he thinks I'm physical still because he saw the Z all-out pummeling and thought it was close combat, so he stays in and goes for Counter again, which actually was a misplay, and I just can't land a Focus Blast worth my life. Lucario forgot his glasses, but that's why they call it Focus Blast. I do sack my Azelf, so this B-Drill cannot U-turn, which allows me the free Protect +1 on Sharpedo, which is really what I need to win the game. So him not U-turning out was a huge play right there. Now that my Sharpedo can outspeed, none of his Pokemon really want to mess around with this. I can Mega Evolve and Crunch, so I can get the 2-hit KO on Fortress. Yeah, U-turning out was definitely a rough play. He could have U-turned out into Golisopod and then gone into Fortress, but yeah, even then Fortress only had like Toxic, maybe Gyro Ball to revenge kill me. But he sends back out this Golisopod like I don't know what to do when I see First Impression on a Pokemon, and yeah, that's the beauty of Protect, the Scout. And I actually live his follow-up Aqua Jet, so Sharpedo is going to be able to finish up the game. Even if he wasn't able to, I would have had Honchkrow to Sucker Punch that B-Drill. So the game was pretty much in my hands anyway. But that was a lot of fun. I honestly didn't even see a Bisharp this time out, but that's okay. I know what they do, and I will be looking out for those in the future. Just had a lot of fun playing this. It wasn't like the most solid team. I do encourage you to use like Hyper Offense. It's so much fun. You just put it all on the table and see what happens. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will be sure to make more videos in the future, and yeah, peace.